Alright, y'all, in today's video, we're going to be ranking and testing every unit from update 12.0 in Anime Vanguards. If you guys enjoy my content, like and sub. I really appreciate it, and I'm trying to hit 2K before summer. Let's get right into the video. Alright, y'all, if y'all have seen my other ranking videos, basically what I do in these videos is I just go over every unit, their passives, if they're worth getting or not, rank them from S to C tier, test their DPS out on a 1-speed Vegeta boss just to see how much they can do in the time. Now, a lot of the units from this update are way better when paired together, but I'm going to be testing out and ranking them solo, just because not everyone can get 4 Monarchs. I'm going to try to see what units can do by themselves as well, so, even though, keep in mind, they are way better when used together, and they're actually really insane when used together. But we're gonna get right into the first unit in Sandbox. Alright, y'all, we are now in the Sandbox game mode, and we're gonna test out Pain first. Of course, I will go through this really quick. We're just gonna do a Vegeta boss with, max HP, speed multiplier just 1. The unit stuff right here, we have everything maxed out, so always scroll to show everything's maxed out for Minato, and Sasuke will make sure to put 3 Ascensions on. But everything else here is absolutely maxed out. Monarch, it's evolved, everything here is maxed out Divinity, and then no Familiar. I don't do Familiars in this because Familiars are kind of extra. You can add them on if you have good ones, but they're not a base part of the unit. First, we're gonna place down Pain. We have him right here. I'll go through his passives. Just max him out. He costs 200k to max out. Max out, just base. He's doing 2.75 million every 8 seconds, 70 range. Of course, you have to make sure you want to swap this consistently, and this is his main thing he can use. But again, I'm testing these units out solo, so he's a whole unit. Wholly just reduces status effects, and we're gonna get into the passives. His passives are this unit's basic attack, supply, repulse. Whenever this unit inflicts a debuff or status effect, buff this unit's damage by 5% and range by 1% up to 100% and 20%. And when placed via ninjutsu, also places a random ninjutsu unit from the hotbar at the same upgrade level for 15 seconds. Counts as a ninjutsu placement for that unit. Next one is, this unit has the Arsenal of Pain and Shinobi Resurrection. Whenever Arsenal of Pain swaps attacks, buff this unit's damage by 50% for 30 seconds. When Shinobi Resurrection is used, all placements of this unit are removed and their place limits are not refunded. So that's the nuke. It's really good if you spam the ninjutsu constantly. And the last one is, this unit has ninjutsu and fixed SPA values. For every unit with ninjutsu in this unit's range, buff their damage by 50%. When this unit is afflicted with a status effect, its ninjutsu placement effect activates. So that's why you want the nose familiar on him. And the Memoria is, whenever this unit toggles inactive, increase damage by 50% for 30 seconds. So that's why you need to be toggling his actives constantly. And then anytime this unit places a separate unit via active or ninjutsu, buff the unit's damage by 20% for 30 seconds. So again, just buffing more to the units he places down. And whenever a unit is solely deleted in this unit's range, buff this unit's damage by 20% for 30 seconds. So again, buffs himself up. Keep in mind, this is going to be very good with Madara. There's no way he's not going to have ninjutsu and be able to be placed down by it. Now, keep in mind, this unit is way better used with other characters. He's not supposed to be used by himself, but we're just going to test him against the Vegeta boss. See how long until he gets out of range, how much damage he'll do by himself. Of course, again, like I said, very much better to use him with other characters, but we're just going to test him out against the Vegeta boss. Alright, we got Vegeta right here. I'm going to make sure to don't have him maxed out on his first passive, but is this boss immune to stuff? I don't seem like he's repulsing. Unless he can't repulse bosses. But I feel like he should be able to stun then, right? Just leave him on the stun one if he can't repulse bosses. Oh no, he can stun. I guess he can't repulse bosses though. But yeah, he's not going to do the most damage here, but I don't have him maxed out as well. Obviously good DPS, but he's mainly meant to summon another character, so can't really rank him off of that. And he's not maxed out. He could be getting 100% more damage and more range. Yeah, he did 40 million, or 44 million actually. But yeah, 44 million, not bad. Mainly what you want to use him for is this, of course, and just summoning in other units. He's really good for that reason. It's a weird situation where he's not like a full-on support, but you just need him to summon other units. So he's like a DPS summoner. Anyways, if I had to rank this unit by himself, I'd say he's like A tier. Of course, with other characters, he's definitely S tier. You need him. With Madara next update, he's going to be even more insane, 100%. But yeah, I'd give him an A tier for now, and we're going to move on to the next unit. Alright, y'all, the next unit is going to be Naruto, of course. Probably one of the best DPSs in the update by himself. Of course, all the Kurama stuff, but he works really well with Minato, so by himself he will be doing worse than normal, but he costs 200,000 to upgrade. He is Nature and Spark. Nature makes him immune to range debuffs, and Spark makes him immune to damage debuffs. Very good. Basically makes him unknown because he's also immune to status effects. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure he's already immune to both, actually. But for Minato, this is really good because he has the same elements, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, we're gonna max him out. At max, he does 1.75 million every 7.1 seconds, 61 range. Keep in mind, he has this too. Alright, these are his passives. Whenever a ninjutsu unit is placed, buff that unit's damage by 50% for 30 seconds, and it does not need to be placed for that to happen, so he's like Rukia. Whenever this unit is placed, stun all enemies in range for 2 seconds. While this unit is within half of fastest Shinobi's range, which is Minato, buff both units damage by 50%. Next one is, this unit has ninjutsu. When placed via ninjutsu, spawn a clone of this unit at the same upgrade level for 30 seconds, and trigger this unit's active ability for 20 seconds. That's why when you're using with Pain, he consistently just spams his ability, which is really good, because it doesn't apply its cooldown. And when the clone expires, buff this unit's damage by 100%. So again, more buffs. Last one is, this unit is immune to status effects and debuffs. Attacks inflict nullified, which is really good. Whenever another unit is placed in this unit's range, stun all enemies in range for 2 seconds. Whenever a unit is sold in this unit's range, inflicts wounded on all enemies in range, which is not better than Alucard because Alucard does 35% and applies it much easier than having to sell someone. Alright, now the Memoria. Whenever this unit enters via ninjutsu, buff damage by 50% for 30 seconds. The next one is buffs all nature category allies in range by 30% damage, which is really good. And the last one is anytime a clone of this unit despawns, increase this unit's damage by 30% for 30 seconds. So really decent passives. He's very high on DPS because of them, and we're going to test him against the Vegeta now. Alright, so we have the Vegeta down. First thing we're going to do is obviously pop his ability. Want to use this as much as we can. I know you can just hold with it, which is actually nice, instead of having to spam. I don't know if Kurama's damage shows, but we know he has 7.16 billion anyways, so we can see how much damage he does. He's already getting a lot more. Obviously does a lot of damage. It's mostly Kurama doing a lot of damage, but you basically have this fully up the entire time if you're using with Pain, because Pain consistently spawns him in and procs his ninjutsu ability, which spawns in Kurama, and doesn't put its cooldown on. And it has a 60-second cooldown, so you really want Pain for him, because you can only use it once without Pain. But yeah, he's already at 100 million. Of course, if I place him in via ninjutsu, he'd be doing a lot more damage too. But again, we're using these units solo, just to prove that solo, there are some units that shine through more in this update than the units that are being used together and need multiple monarchs. Because again, if we had even one ninjutsu, I could place him down for that. And who do you want to go for if you only have a few rerolls and you can't get 5 units monarch? So yeah, he did about 113 million. Pretty good. Honestly, way better than Pain, of course, expected. Now, what would I rank this unit? Definitely gonna have to be an S tier, 100%. And he's honestly one of the best units in the update if you're using him with Pain, of course. Again, these units rely very heavily on each other, but I'd say he's S tier even outside of being used with Pain because he does a lot of damage for this update. If you want to use him with Pain and Minato, it makes him a lot better especially because Minato has an insane ability that we'll get to after this. But yeah, I would have to rank him S tier. And we're gonna move on to the next unit. Alright, y'all, we're on to the next unit, which is Minato, of course. We have him placed down right here. And one thing I forgot to mention is technically all these units could fall all the way back to there because of how ninjutsu works if you make sure to be, replacing them and all that. But Minato specifically does have a passive that actually allows him to do that. So we're gonna look at how much he costs. He costs 200,000, but we're gonna max him out. Max out, he's a big circle AoE, and he has 1.46 million every 7.1 of 62 range. He does do really high damage, but he's also very good support. And once again, he has Spark, which makes him immune to damage debuffs, and Nature, which makes him immune to range debuffs. This is very good for him because he's not immune to status debuffs. Passives are very simple. It's just after each attack, this unit teleports next to its target. Whenever this unit displays their teleports, buff this unit's damage by 50% for 30 seconds. And the next one is this unit has ninjutsu. When placed via ninjutsu, this unit immediately uses attack 4 and gains 2 free upgrades, which this is very good because he basically allows you to max out the entire Naruto team for free if you use him correctly. And also makes Pain's nuke insanely good. You really need him. He's really good. Anyways, on to the Memoria. Anytime this unit moves locations, buff damage by 30% for 30 seconds. And the next one is anytime this unit does attack 4, does 50% more damage. So very basic stuff. This one just buffs up one of his passives, and this one also buffs another one of his passives, and when he does his last upgrade, he just does 50% more. So obviously keep in mind all these units need to be used together. I've said that a bunch of times, but we're testing them solo in this video just for the sole sake of seeing how good they can do on their own. Alright, so we spawned in Vegeta. Now keep in mind he does teleport around, of course, so I'll probably stop around like right here, and his damage has already went up to 2.62 million. Now he's doing 700,000 DPS. Don't underestimate how much DPS he can do, especially for being a 4. I'm pretty sure he's 4 placement. I make sure to triple ascend him too. Didn't forget to do that. Keep in mind he very heavily relies off of Pain and Naruto to do a lot of damage. Like he's only 1.8 times here, but I know I've seen him get up to like 5 or 6 times when I'm using him with him. He did about 45 million damage. And before I actually rank him, I've seen some people saying that Ethereal is better on him. Could be for certain situations, but Monarch you can just use other Naruto units to do the whole maxing out thing. And clones spawned regardless of having Ethereal or Monarch, they just spawn infinitely. I did see that Pain got nerfed. I don't exactly know how he got nerfed or what they nerfed on him. I don't know if it was that he can't spawn multiple Monarchs anymore, but all I know is Minato, of course, is going to be at least an A tier by himself. He does really good damage, and people are saying he's a support. I don't think he's really a support, but if he's used with the team, he's 100% S tier if he's used with the team, but by himself, he's only an A tier. So we're going to move on to the next unit. Alright, so we're moving on to the next unit, which is obviously Sasuke. We have him right here. I obviously gave him Contagious and made sure he's maxed out because I'm guessing Contagious would be better for him. His whole thing is doing Black Flame, so I'd assume Contagious is better for him. But he costs 196k to max out, and we're going to see what he does at max. So at max, he's doing 645k every 7.9 seconds with a 57 range, which is pretty good. I think this unit does not shine as much as the other Naruto units right off the bat. He is Curse, which does 30% more to a boss, so he actually is a boss killer because of that. And I think he can do a lot of damage by himself, but using it on the Naruto team, he's just very selfish, and he doesn't really do much for the team apart from being really good damage. But we're going to look at the passives really quick. Alright, so his first passive is attacks inflict black flames for 40% of this unit's damage. DOTs applied by this unit cannot be removed or stacked. For every enemy in range inflicted with black flames, buff this unit's damage by 5% up to 100%. So he's really heavy crowd control, actually. I'm not going to spawn multiple bosses, though, because in this situation, I'm just testing him on one boss. If I spawn multiple, he'll get a lot more damage. Anyways, on to the next passive. This unit has ninjutsu. When placed via ninjutsu, inflict all enemies in range with black flames for 40% of this unit's damage per second permanently. When sold via ninjutsu, buff the incoming unit's damage by 50% for 30 seconds. But it's not permanent, so it's not the greatest. Anyways, now onto the Memoria. When this unit applies a DOT on an enemy for the first time, that DOT does 50% more damage. So actually pretty good, but I'm pretty sure he only applies it one time, right? I don't think it ever goes off, so I'm pretty sure black flame stays on forever. And the next one is whenever an enemy that was inflicted by black flames in this unit's range dies, this unit does a follow-up attack, 2-second cooldown. I don't know what attack he follows up with. I'm assuming just his same attack since it doesn't specify. But anyways, we're gonna test him against a Vegeta. I have high hopes for him to do pretty high damage by himself. He probably might be one of the higher damages, I'm guessing at least. But we got Vegeta right here. We're gonna see how much damage he can do. He should do a lot. I'm hoping he does a lot. But Contagious on him, assuming he's gonna do more like that. Like I said, if you're having a crowd control, he's gonna be a lot better because he'd be doing double his damage if he had crowd control. But he is doing pretty high DPS here. He's already hit him for 17 million. Yeah, 700,000 EDPS is pretty good. But keep in mind, if I had more bosses here, he would be doing a lot more damage because he'd have double damage. So this unit does seem like a very good contender if you just want to get one Monarch this update and you only have enough for one. He's really good. I just didn't want him because he's also Curse, and Curse is like pretty good already. All the other elements this update were really lacking. But yeah, he did about 58 million, and keep in mind that's just going to keep going up forever. Yeah, it's just staying on. So keep in mind, when he applies Black Flames, it also stays on forever. That's another really good thing about it. If they go out of range and they've been hit by Sasuke, if they have like a little bit of HP left, they'll probably end up dying. You won't have to go like chase them down. So I would assume Contagious is the best on him. So if I had to rank him, I'd say he's like A tier, but I honestly think he could go up to S tier just since he's so good by himself compared to all the other Naruto units. Now Naruto obviously did a lot by himself, but Sasuke, if he was using crowd control there, could be around Naruto's level. He actually would have done around the same damage. So I think the fact that he can just be so good on his own and you only have to get one Monarch on him, I think he honestly is S tier. You could definitely argue and say he's only A tier, but I think I'm gonna give him S tier. Yeah, I'll give him S by himself. And we're gonna move on to the next unit. Alright, y'all, the next unit we got is Preacher, of course. We have him right here, and he costs 79k to have max out, which is actually not that much. And we'll see what he does on his max upgrade. He's holy, of course. Reduces status effects by 50%. On his last upgrade, he's a big cone with 1.5 million damage every 7.1 of 48 range, so not the craziest, but I know he's pretty much a support unit for Vash, so we're gonna look at his passives. So his first passive is each consecutive hit on the same enemy buffs this unit's AoE size by 5% up to 50%, which is actually interesting. I wonder how that works with a cone. If a circle, I'm assuming it just gets larger, but I don't know about a cone. Anyways, after 5 consecutive hits, buff this unit's damage by 50%. After 10 consecutive hits, buff this unit's damage by 100% instead. All stacks reset when this unit targets a new enemy. And his next passive is when this unit is removed, permanently buff every placed fallen angel's damage by 100%, which is Vash. And reduce the cooldown of the angel's right arm by 60 seconds, which is Vash's nuke, and I'm pretty sure that's permanent, so it's only 3 minutes instead of 4. And if no fallen angel is placed, the buff applies to the first fallen angel placed afterwards. Each fallen angel can only receive this buff once per match. Onto the Memoria. For every enemy hit, increases next attack's damage by 5% up to 35%, resets every attack. So that's if he's attacking multiple enemies at once. And the next one is for every enemy in range, increase damage by 5% up to 100%. So again, he's one of those units that really heavily is stronger when he's used to crowd control, kind of like Sasuke. Anyways, we're testing him against Vegeta now. We're gonna see how much damage he can do. His range isn't that crazy, so he's not gonna attack for a bit. Once he starts attacking, he'll start building up his damage as well. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, his AoE just gets larger, so it turns into like a half AoE the more he attacks. I wish his range went up too, though. His range should go up too. That would have been better. His 48's really not that good range for nowadays. And so far, even though he's building up, he's only done 8 million, so looking like he's gonna be the worst unit out of the new units in this update, which I expected. He's mainly here to support Vash, not really actually for doing DPS, so I would definitely not go for Monarch on him. I mean, if you're gonna use him, you're literally gonna use him like Ymir to like buff Ichigo. Yeah, he did 21 million in the time it took. So yeah, if I had to rank him from S to C tier, I'm definitely giving him a B tier. He is just not that great. He's really underwhelming compared to every other unit in the update. Every other unit in the update is at least really good, but he's just kind of, yeah, not worth it at all. He's not supposed to be worth getting Monarch on though. You're supposed to just use him as a support unit for Vash to sell him and, you know, have Vash do more damage. That's the whole point. But yeah, I'd rank him B tier. I'm gonna move on to the next unit. Alright, y'all, we're on to the next and last unit of the update. It is Vash. We've got him right here. He's a passion unit, which just increases range of passion units by 2%. Pretty useless effect, but his cost to max him out is 137,000, so not too much, but not too cheap either. We're gonna max him out and see what it does. So at max, he's a big line AoE. He has 2.33 million damage, 4.7 SPA, and 60 range. He also has 40% crit and 1.75x crit damage. I'm pretty sure you want to burb on him if you're gonna run a familiar. It makes him really good. I'm pretty sure he's like Gohan, but we'll get into the passives. And his ability is just deals 400% damage to all enemies on the map, which is actually really good for a nuke. Anyways, his passives are each attack buffs this unit's damage by 50% stacking. Every 6th attack, stun this unit for 8 seconds. And it's non-cleansable and bypasses immunities, so you can't cleanse him by anything to make him do this faster. And it clears all stacks after that of the damage buff. Attacks that hit a boss enemy instead grant only 20% damage and do not count towards the 6 attack stun. Basically, when he's attacking a boss, he does not get stunned. He just keeps stacking up 20% forever. So you also really want low SP on him, so you want to make sure you get like a godly on that, of course. Anyways, the next one is this unit is immune to status effects, which is really good. This unit's attacks cannot reduce an enemy's HP below 1, which is interesting. thing, but I mean, if it's 1 HP in the first place, that's easy to take out with anything else. Each attack that does not crit buffs this unit's critical chance by 5%, so exactly like Gohan. And any critical chance over 100% is converted into a damage buff at 1% per 1% overflow. So I don't know why they worded it like that, but it's basically the exact same as how Gohan works from what I know. And I'm pretty sure how Broly works too. So you really want to burb on him. Anyways, his Memoria passives are, anytime this unit becomes stunned, increase damage by 40% for 60 seconds, which keep in mind he can't be stunned except for his own passive, so this wouldn't work on a boss, but it's still really good because it's only him stunning himself. And the next one is, this unit gains 40% critical chance and 50% critical damage. Passive is literally just called Deadeye, so I guess we just ran out of ideas there and just called it a trait and gave it the exact stats of a trait, except for 5% crit chance because it's 40% instead of 45. Pretty sure Deadeye is 45, but anyways, pretty good passives. Also, I haven't mentioned it the whole time, but keep in mind, just because it shows he has D stats doesn't actually mean he has D stats. He has godly stats. You put the percentages in, but it doesn't actually change the stat. It's just the stat percentage, not the actual stat. It doesn't show the stats, it just changes the percentage. So they're not actually D stats, they're godly stats maxed out. But anyways, we're gonna test him against a Vegeta right now, and I think he's gonna do really good. I have hopes for him to be the best unit when used by himself in the update. Alright, so we got Vegeta down right here, and he's just gonna immediately start stacking damage, which is really good, of course. Now, if you have a boss that ends up being really slow, you could probably stack this so much, because it has no limit. It keeps going forever. And then you could just pop the nuke once he gets to like 20 times or something ridiculous. But keep in mind, this only works when he's attacking a boss, and it resets once he stops attacking a boss. But yeah, he's just going up and up, and he's gonna keep going up with damage. He's not gonna stop. But if you had a boss that's like 0.5 speed instead of 1 speed, or you were slowing the boss too, I can only imagine how high his damage could get. I'm gonna pop this nuke before he leaves range too, because if he leaves range, I'm pretty sure it won't do as much damage. So I'm gonna pop it right now after his next attack. Pop it now. So he did about 40 million with the nuke, I'm pretty sure. I'm guessing it can crit too. And he did 111 million in the total time he was in range, which is honestly, yeah, competing with Naruto for the most damage done. And I wasn't slowing. Keep in mind, if you were slowing the boss and like kind of stalling him out, this would just keep going up. He would just keep going up. So really good unit by himself. Anyways, if I had to rank Vash, he's definitely getting an S tier. If you want to get one unit Monarch this update, it probably should be Vash. That or Naruto. They're both very good. But Vash is used very well by himself. And if you want to use him with like Preacher, you don't need Monarch on Preacher. You can just place him down and sell him to make him do even more damage. But yeah, especially if you stall out, you could get Vash up to some pretty insane numbers. Very good unit. So I'll give him definitely an S tier. But that's going to be all. That's every unit up to 12.0 ranked in Anime Vanguards. Alright, y'all, that was me ranking every unit at update 12.0 of Anime Vanguards. I just make these videos to make sure you guys pick the right, characters to get Monarch on, see every, stat of the unit, what they can do, how much DPS they can do, what they're mainly used for. I've said it multiple times. All the Naruto units when used together are a lot better than when used solo. They're literally made to be used together. They get insane DPS numbers, but like I said, Vash is probably one of the better ones used with solo, and same with Sasuke. They're very good solo. Sasuke could be paired into the team, but I feel like Minato and Naruto and Pain are just a better combo than having Sasuke. I don't think I would re-rank anyone. I think I ranked them all well. I think I gave them all good rankings, and they deserve the spots they're in. Of course, like I said, some can be higher than others if they're used together, but we're using them solo for the sake of the video to just test out their DPS and their usefulness by themselves. But that's going to be all. If you guys enjoy my content, like and sub. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 2K before summer. See y'all in the next one.